But first, to a deeply disturbing decision in the federal court last Friday. An attack on free speech that's devastated Pauline Hanson and left her One Nation party facing bankruptcy with legal bills estimated at $900,000. It's disturbing because it seems to me that Hanson has essentially been found guilty of criticising the extreme political beliefs of a woman who, just by chance, is brown and Muslim. That woman is Green Senator Faruqi, who 2 years ago responded to the Queen's death with a crude tweet: "Condolences to those who knew the Queen. I cannot mourn the leader of a racist empire built on stolen lives, land and wealth of colonised peoples." Now, that ignorant tweet predictably caused much anger, but Faruqi blamed the backlash on what Hanson tweeted in response. She said, "Your attitude appalls and disgusts me. When you immigrated to Australia, you took every advantage of this country. You took citizenship, bought multiple homes and a job in Parliament. It's clear you're not happy, so pack your bags and piss off back to Pakistan." Now, note that nowhere there did Hanson say Faruqi was a Muslim or a woman of colour. Yes, she mentioned Pakistan, but she told the court she'd have told Faruqi to piss off back to New Zealand had she been a Kiwi instead. And knowing her, I'm sure she would have said exactly the same to an immigrant from any other country who'd have similarly attacked our head of state, our past culture and system of government. Because look at what Faruqi has said about her adopted country. For instance, in her first speech as a senator.
"We are gathered here today on stolen land. This land always was and always will be Aboriginal land."
Faruqi's also claimed that bigotry and xenophobia have been allowed to flourish here, so I'd guess many Australians would also wonder why Faruqi still chose in 1992 to come to this racist, stolen land with its thieving head of state. And you'd ask that even if she were white, Christian and male. Yet Justice Angus Stewart decided Hanson's response to Faruqi was racist and unlawful under the Racial Discrimination Act. He ordered her to take it down and pay Faruqi's legal costs. Now, here's the strange thing. This judge actually conceded. It is true the words in Senator Hanson's tweet did not refer to skin colour. So, how could it have been written because of race, as this act requires? Aha, the judge said. The tweet was directed to a Muslim woman of colour who immigrated from Pakistan. And I'm thinking, yes, but isn't that because the person attacking the Queen was, by chance, exactly a brown Muslim from Pakistan? Coincidence? What's the judge suggesting? That Hanson's response would have been okay had Faruqi been a white Christian instead? And maybe so, because Faruqi once told Prime Minister Scott Morrison to just F off. But the judge noted that she defended that as not racist. Anyway, once the judge decided Hanson had offended a brown Muslim woman with what he called an age-old racist trope, all that was left was to prove racism had indeed been on Hanson's mind. You know, you've got to read her mind now. That's a secret agenda. And this involved putting Hanson on trial, in effect, for everything she'd ever said about race, immigration, and also Muslims, who are actually not a race and thus not covered specifically under the Racial Discrimination Act, which bans discrimination on the basis of race, colour, descent or national origin. Nothing there about religion. But anyway, here's where Hanson's past caught up with her. The judge said Hanson had once said she wouldn't sell a house to a Muslim, and said Islam is a disease we need to vaccinate ourselves against, which, yes, I agree, is awful. But again, this particular tweet of Hanson hadn't mentioned Islam at all. It got worse. The judge also attacked Hanson for making what he called negative, derogatory, discriminating or hateful statements in the past, by, for instance, criticising multiculturalism and the white guilt industry. Those don't seem hateful statements to me. I mean, even former prime ministers agree with them. So, the judge also added there was no defence for Hanson's tweet because he said it wasn't made reasonably or in good faith. But what next? It's a dangerously small step from suggesting an immigrant not stay here to saying others shouldn't come at all. So is the judge now going to tell opposition leader Peter Dutton that when he said it was too dangerous to bring in Palestinians from terrorist-run Gaza, he was actually being racist to brown Muslims because that's what they are? Now, you may wonder how a judge could decide to censor Hanson for saying something that would have occurred to many other Australians. Now, to understand that, you've got to read his judgment. But maybe also read a tribute to him published by the New South Wales Bar Association, saying His Honour, this is the judge himself, reflected that he had been born into privilege. He was born white, male, able-bodied, cisgendered and heterosexual, to parents who had themselves been born into similar privilege. He did not suffer the discrimination, inequality, marginalisation and disadvantage that people of colour, women, people with disabilities and LGBTQI plus people face and still face in this world. Now, reading that, how likely do you think it was that this judge would defend Hanson's tweet criticising a fellow senator who just happened to be a brown Muslim? This decision is so profoundly wrong. I spoke a short while ago to Pauline Hanson, the One Nation leader. It's her first interview since that judge's decision. I've never seen her so shattered. She couldn't at first speak from crying.
Oh, sorry. Just give me a minute.
Pauline Hanson, thanks for coming on the show. I can tell how upset you are. That decision, that legal case, seems to have knocked you for absolute six. What do you think about it?
Well, sorry. It has, Andrew. You know, I just feel that the country's changed so much in such a way that people can't say what they think anymore. The thought police are out there. Everyone's shut down to having an opinion. It's not the country that I grew up in. And, you know, people may criticise my comment. I've never changed since I first entered politics nearly, 30 years ago. But I think that the decision made, I think, was unfair, unjust, and a bit hard, but I'm not going to give up. I am going to appeal against it. I am going to fight this. And Andrew, it's not just about Pauline Hanson. It's about the people themselves, having the right to have an opinion, to have a say. And 18C has to go. That's why I have to fight this. And it's just giving people back their freedoms, their rights. You know, the men and women that fought for our democracy, our freedom of speech, that's been stripped from us. And Australians just don't realise that. I just feel my whole life, my time in politics has just been one battle after another. And I'm going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I chose to get into politics. I chose to stand up for my morals, my values, my principles. And hence, you know, I'm in the situation that I am now. So anyway, it's just another fight I've got to take on.
Well, just another fight, Pauline, but since you got involved in politics, you were jailed under false charges, later freed, acquitted. You've been vilified, you've been attacked by protesters, have physically confronted you, you've been vilified, of course, and now this. How does this rate compare to the other things? Because I see you more upset than I've seen you for I don't know how long.
I think that my family, my close friends say to me, it never stops with you, does it? It's always one thing after another. I think because my stance on politics, and I say what's on my mind, and I don't back away, and I'm not those career politicians. I just see myself as an ordinary Australian. My father said, politics is a dirty game. He said, you will never change anything. And I said, Dad, because of people like you and your attitude, that's why nothing will ever change. I said, I don't know if I'll ever change anything, but I won't know unless I have a go.
You said that when you wrote that tweet, piss off back to Pakistan, you did not know that Faruqi was Muslim. Now, I don't frankly know why it makes any difference whether you knew that or not. The judge didn't believe you, and to be honest, I don't either. I think you did know, or maybe you forgot, I don't know. That said, did you write piss off back to Pakistan because Senator Faruqi was Muslim or brown?
Not at all. Not at all, Andrew, and I can say that honestly. It never entered my mind at the time of putting out that tweet that she was Muslim or the colour of her skin. I was just so upset at her comments about the Queen the day the Queen died. And the judge said that I instigated other tweets from other people that were hurtful to her. Do you know that my tweet went out nearly 5 hours after she put hers out? So people responded to her regardless of what I'd put out. The people of Australia were angry at what she said. It was despicable, it was hurtful, and I felt belittled as an Australian that was born here. And I get fed up with calling it, we're a colonist. We stole the land. I've had a gutful of it, and so have many other millions of Australians. She's not the first time that I've told someone to go back to where they came from. I said it to Darren Hinch. I've said it to someone else in I think it was Victoria. They brought it to my attention. She's not the first one. Colour of the skin, it means nothing to me. Nothing at all. Being a Muslim has got nothing to do with it.
I think there was that presumption in the judge's mind that it was.
Yeah.
Pauline, I'm told your legal costs and marrying Faruqi's, which you must also pay for, add up to around $900,000. How much financial strife is your party now in?
Well, Andrew, it's been hard for us, to try and do fundraising, and I do thank the people who have become members of the party who are actually, have supported us in our shop to buy the merchandise, which has helped us. And we do fundraising where we can. It's not easy. We don't get the big corporate donations like the other political parties. We're just a struggling, minor party and trying to keep the operation running. I think we've done a fantastic job to date, but we don't have the millions in the bank that, the other political parties have. And every step of the way they've tried to stop me financially. I've just had a defamation case with Brian Burston, which I won on appeal, but that's cost us $400,000. It's just never ending. It is a financial strain on us. I can't understand why. And I think that's what they want.
I just can't understand why someone like Marion Faruqi or any other politicians, they've got freedom of speech in Parliament, total. I don't know why they need to go to court to shut up their political opponents. Why don't they just sort it out by debate, by putting out their own tweets or saying something on the floor of Parliament? Are you astonished that this has had to go to court?
I am absolutely astonished. Her tweet was never taken into consideration, although she was taking me to court for my comments. And, I did respond to it. I know, some people didn't agree, but a lot of Australians, the response that I've heard, a lot of Australians agreed with me that what I said. I'm not going to say, I won't say anymore. I've got to go to an appeal,
there we go.
Andrew. And I've just...
Well, look, we're all having to think twice before, or three times before... Yeah, well, good on you. We're having to think about 3 times before we say anything now. But I've had scores of people, you mentioned the appeal, that's going to cost you... That appeal's going to cost you about $200,000 or more, I'm guessing. I've had scores of people telling me since I've written about this, Pauline, that they want to donate to a legal fund for you. How can they do that?
If people want to do that, which I thank them from the bottom of my heart, they can go to the One Nation website, onenation.org.au, and there is a donate button. They can donate to that, and that is going to be a separate account just to pay for this legal cost. And I can guarantee the money will not be used for anything else but to fight this. And in many ways I feel terrible to ask people for their help and assistance. But anyway.
There it is. Pauline, you're not up for re-election at the next election in March or April.
No.
You're being elected until you're going on to the election after that. But have you thought of quitting now or just bailing out?
No, I'm not. I'm going to see my term out. In 2028, when I'm up for re-election, I'm going to reassess it then. I'm hopeful that at the next federal election that One Nation will be able to pick up some Senate seats, and I hope that people in New South Wales get behind voting for One Nation, and that I'd like to see Maureen Faruqi lose her seat at the next federal election.
Pauline Hanson, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very, very much for having me on, Andrew. And thank you to the people of Australia for your support.